In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, the one God to whom all praise is due, the Lord of the worlds, the finder of us who were lost, and the life giver to us, a people who are mentally dead in the grave of ignorance. We thank Allah for His finding us, for His claim of us, and for His choice of us to be His people. And we thank Him for raising up in our midst a divine leader, a divine teacher, and a divine guide in the personage of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. I greet you, my beloved brothers and sisters, with the greeting words of peace in the Arabic language, Assalamu alaikum. To my nationalist brothers and sisters, Habarigan. If there are any Hebrew Israelites in the audience, Shalom Aleichem. And to those of you who intend to struggle for the liberation of our people here and throughout the world, we say to you, peace be unto you. To the members of the Black Student Union or Black Student Association or Alliance, I knew that A stood for something. And to you, my brothers and sisters, it is a great honor for me to have this opportunity to stand before you. I'm very honored to have been invited and very grateful to have a chance to share with you some of the things that we have learned from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Before I say anything, I would like to give a special word of thanks to the leadership of the Black Student Alliance. Brother John Divins, Sister Anita Cook, Brother John Caldwell, Brother Dwayne Brown, Brother James Cooper, Sister Jane Arnold. If you're present, would you please stand? Where are the others? Two in the back, and Sister Marshall Bailey, Chet Williams, Bobby Grace, Michael Harris, and Avley Ward. Would you please stand? Yes, I just want to get a look at you. I think we ought to give them a wonderful round of applause. I had the honor and privilege of talking with 3 of the leaders of the Black Student Alliance for about 10 minutes before I came before you. And I was totally moved by what I saw and heard coming from these brothers and sisters. Their heads are on straight. They are very wise. They are committed. They know where they are going. And you should continue to support them. In fact, you should increase your support. Leadership today is not standing in front of microphones or television cameras. Leadership today is the art and the science of serving the needs of the people. Leadership today must be accountable to the people, and the people must make leaders accountable to them. The time is far spent, and if we intend to achieve in the 80s what the aim of our 400-year-old struggle has been moving toward, then we need leadership that will not compromise with our enemies. We need leadership that is willing to take an oath that if they become a traitor to the aspirations of the people, that they should be killed by the people. To set an example so that the next ones that stand up will know that this is not a game that we're playing. This is the race of life, and our enemies are playing for keeps. So we cannot be children as we move into the 80s. That may sound shocking to some, but to those who understand that leaders have sold us out and are now selling us out, to those who understand that the strongest leaders that have stood up among us are no longer with us, or they're badly incapacitated because of the machinations of a wicked government and a propaganda machine that has sought to destroy and undermine every serious black leader that stood for justice for you and me. We don't intend to let that happen in the 1980s. We don't intend to let white people kill our leaders or use us to do the same. We want them to know that their leaders are just as vulnerable as ours. And we have come to a point in our development that we understand that white folks don't understand love. They don't understand tolerance. They don't understand ethics. They don't understand morals. They don't understand right. They only understand death. So we are forced to the position because we live in a system that will not give justice to the oppressed. We must have an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, and a life for a life. And if our enemies feel the freedom to take our lives, they should also feel the freedom to lose theirs. And it is only when there are as many or more buried on their side as on our side that they will understand and get the message that those whom we hold sacred, they better. Why are you starting this way, my brother? Because in the students' leadership, I see that new crop of leaders coming up. And that new crop of leaders cannot go out into the world, a world of wolves and beasts, unprepared for the challenge of the 80s. You and I cannot move into the 80s unprepared for what we're going to face. Here at UCLA, they want you to believe that you are being educated to face the challenge of the 80s. But I want to hasten to tell you that there is nothing offered to you at UCLA that will equip you to face what is coming up in the 1980s. You were not brought here because white folks love you. You were not brought here because they want you to get what they have to offer so that you may go back to your communities and serve your people. They have brought you here to socialize you into a certain behavioral pattern that they will be able to control, and through you, hopefully, control your people. Because you're seeking something, that's why you're here. And they intend to intercept what you seek and manufacture a false thing that looks like what you seek, smells like what you seek, tastes like what you seek, but when you try to digest it, it will never give you what you seek, so you will end up frustrated, confused, ready to commit suicide, or turn your nose out with cocaine, or smoke reefers, and party down, and boogie down, and freak it up, to forget the madness that you are learning here in the name of education. I want to hasten to tell you that any education that trains your mind and does not build your character is no education at all. For any time you tell me that you have your BS degree, take it for what it is, and you have your master degree, and you have your PhD degree, and at the same time that you've received the highest degrees of learning that this world offers, on the other side of that, your character is that which leaves a lot to be desired. You have no word that should be or could be respected, meaning that you give your word and don't intend to fulfill it, meaning you're a liar. And a liar cannot be trusted to lead nor to guide people. And if you are an intelligent person trying to come to the knowledge of truth and want to be a liar on one side, a cheat on the other, an abuser of your women, a misuser of your people, a sissy, a lesbian, a dope smoker, halfway pimp, halfway, because anything you do has got to be halfway. The biggest pimp is running the institution. And he's already made a whore out of some of you. He has promised you what he cannot deliver, and you will try to deliver the goods for him. But I warn you, all whores today, whether you're a spiritual whore or an actual whore, you got to clean your act up. Because we can't struggle through the 80s with whores. We can't struggle through the 80s with political prostitutes who prostitute principle and value on the altar of profit because you want to get near to white folks and you want to live in Beverly Hills and ride a Mercedes Benz. I want you to understand, we don't mind you having a fine home or a nice car or living well, but you don't have to be a whore to get it. Pardon that blunt language, but a whore is a whore as a rose is a rose. We have in these institutions educational whores. Sell out for an exalted position. I'm on the faculty at UCLA. Yeah. Any resemblance to any person living or dead is not a coincidence. And because you want to keep your position, you fail the students, fail the needs of your students, because if you become too pro-black, you may lose your post. If you start guiding the students aright, white folks may not like it. If you begin to inspire them in a way that they won't be tools of service for white America, they may not like you. You may not hold your position. So you sacrifice these precious lives to hold on to a damnable position that they're going to bust you from anyway. All teachers, all preachers, all so-called leaders must understand that the people are more valuable than you and I. Their lives are more precious than your life or my life. So we should be willing to spend our lives for lives that are more valuable than our lives. If you think that your life is better than the people whom you are supposed to serve, then you cannot serve people that you think you are better than. You must be made to recognize that the black masses don't need masters. The black masses need servants. And anybody that comes to the masses of black people who doesn't come as a servant will be rejected. And this is why Jesus said, if you pardon me for quoting the scripture, Jesus said in the New Testament, I did not come to be ministered unto. I came to minister. Let him who is greatest among you be your servant, your minister. So if the master teacher could humble himself to be a servant of those who needed what he had to give, then who are you and I that we can't humble ourselves to serve the people what they need if we have it? So while you're here at UCLA, and you do CLA, don't come out of this with that dose of arrogance that puffs you up and makes you think you have arrived. They may confer on you a master degree, but if you can't master the subject matter to the degree where you can take the principles of that discipline and apply the principles of that discipline to a suffering and needing people, then you are not a master. You have yet to become a master. If you've got a master degree and have to go to your slave master's children and ask them for a job while you claim to be a master of your discipline and even a doctor in your discipline, but are so sick that you have to depend on others to do for you what you could do for yourself, then, my brother and sister who have these degrees, you should understand that they gave you something that they did not intend for you to master. Like giving you a car without a key. You can always point to it, but you can't go no place with it. You can always point to your degree on the wall, but to utilize it to lift up a suffering mass of people, can you do it? They say in physics that a body at rest tends to stay at rest unless acted upon by an external force, a force greater than the force of inertia. Our body at rest tends to stay at rest. Isn't that something? If the law of inertia says that the body at rest will stay, let's just put the word stay, at rest until what? Acted upon by an external force. I just got to put that acted upon by what kind of force? External force. It's a very key word, force. And in physics, work equals force times what? Distance. That's right. In other words, if I stay here at this rostrum pushing and it don't move, regardless of how much I exert energy, if I have not moved this with my force any distance physically, I have done no work. I wonder, do you see where we're heading? Now, brothers and sisters, if the masses of black people in America represent a body at rest, what are you saying, brother? How can we be a body at rest? Anytime there is not the spirit of life energy in the body, where the body is self-motivated, then it's not considered among the living. When any one of our friends or loved ones passes from us, it loses the energy to self-motivate. So it is no longer a living thing. It is considered dead under the law of inertia. It is a body at rest. Very good. According to the Bible and the Holy Quran, we are taught in both books of the resurrection of the dead. Is that right? Okay. The Bible teaches that in the last days the trumpet will sound. The graves will open and the dead will come forth. The Quran teaches in many different beautiful ways of that resurrection of the dead. Now, most of us are waiting for the physical graves to open, and those that have been put down in those graves for months or years or centuries, we are waiting for them to come forth, not realizing that we are already dead in need of spiritual resuscitation. I want you to just go along with this for a few minutes because it's going to lead to something. Many of us do not think we are dead. But if you and I are not manifesting our potential on every level of development, we are dead. If you are a human being, but you act after the similitude of the beasts of the field, then you are dead morally, and you are dead intellectually, and you are dead spiritually. You have a physical body, but you bow to the urges of your body, not mastering your urges, not controlling this being, willing it to move and to do and to accomplish. Then that human being is considered in divine language dead. This world in which we live is a world that is ruled over by the wise, who rule with 33 degrees of the circle of knowledge. Every president, most of your rulers are high degree Shriners or Masons. What the masses don't know is white folks study Islam in secret, but they have never wanted black people to study Islam openly. White folks study the Quran secretly, but they will not make it available to the masses of black people. So when you join these secret orders, some of you are in fraternities and sororities, right? Oh, yes. How many of you are Alpha? How many Omega? No Q's here? All right. How many are Sigmas? Deltas? Uh-huh. All right. You have a ritual in your fraternal organizations that you have to cross the burning sands. Do you know what that's all about? All you know is you get your butt broke. And after you cross over, you speak out of the 133rd Psalm. Behold, how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. You learn the secret little handshakes and whatnot, and you're in. What you are being made to do in a ritual form, you will be forced to do in real life in the 80s. Now hold on. Everything is going to come together. Just bear with me a couple of minutes. When you cross the burning sands, meaning you're deprived, you're aching, You're in pain. But your desire to be in the brotherhood is so strong that you subject yourself to humiliation, excruciating pain, people making mockery of you, but you don't care, because in your week of secret pro and in your week of open pro, sometimes it's 2 weeks, you have set your mind that I'm going to make it. I don't give a damn what they do. I want to be in this brotherhood. Is that right? How many of you have gone through that? Yeah, well, boy, there's too few of you went through that. Well, but you've seen them go through it, haven't you, brothers and sisters? All right. What has that got to do with 33 degrees of knowledge and the 80s? Everybody's okay? Good. Look here. When we come into the world, can you hear me? We come into the world to lie horizontal. Why? Because we're weak. And everything comes into the world weak, then grows into strength. Is that right? When we come into the world, we lay prone. When mother continues to feed the child begins to crawl. And the child looks for something upright, something strong, and it reaches up to hold on to that thing, and then it does what? Pulls up. And for a time, it holds on to that thing and walks around that thing, and then it goes back to crawling. If it loses that thing, it goes back to crawling. And when it finds that thing again, it pulls up until its legs get strong enough to walk on its own. People are like that too. Oh, brother and sister. If you get 33 degrees of a circle, and that is what the highest Shriner in this world has, and at 33 degrees, do you know what they say? They say, I spied Mecca. They didn't say I go to Mecca. They say I spied Mecca. Many of them say my journey is ended. They learn the name of the God, Allah. They learn the name of the prophet of God, Muhammad. And they learn the book of God and his messenger, the Quran. And then they say, my journey is ended. But the Bible says the beginning of wisdom is the knowledge of God. How could they meet God and their journey be ended? Who are you that when you meet God, your journey doesn't begin, but it's all over? Uh-oh. I think we're coming up on something. We're sneaking up on somebody. 33 degrees. Now look, if this world offers you 33 degrees of knowledge, which means you're not even at a 45-degree angle, which means you're far away from a 90-degree angle, then this world is ruled over by a beast, and those who are under the beast are those who are considered dead or savage. This means that there is nothing that you learn from the people of this world that will cause you to walk upright like a man. There is, now listen, I'm going to say it again. There is nothing that you learn in this world that will cause you to walk upright as a man. Because if you walk upright, the white man can't control you. If you grow to the 90-degree angle, he loses you as a slave. So the only way he can control you is to give you knowledge that keeps you working under his domain. Now let's see if what we're saying is true. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad has taught us that he who gives you the diameter of your knowledge prescribes the circumference of your activity. I shall say that again. He who gives you the diameter of your knowledge prescribes the circumference of your activity. Do you want to know why no college student produced by white people was able to handle Malcolm X? Because Malcolm had a teacher that taught him outside of the sphere of what white folks feed black people. And as long as you are under their feeding and you have no source other than them to feed from, you will be fed in a way that they master your sphere of activity, so you're free yet a slave. Do you hear, brothers and sisters? Now, if you look at Caucasian people, and you should, and I'm not being disrespectful, but the prophets of the scriptures give them the ugly name beast. That means when a human being acts in the way or manner of a beast, that human being is not moral, is not ethical, is not principled. But like the beast, he will stalk his prey and tear its flesh. He does not care what is right. He lives by might. The nature of a beast. The Bible writers put it in symbolic language. 4 great beasts. 4 great beasts. You know beasts, I don't care what you call them, lion, tiger, panther, they don't control men. But these beasts had devoured men. These beasts were in control of men who had the mark of the beast in their forehead and in their hands. What does that mean? If a man who crawls, who is not upright, is your teacher, he will not bring us to uprightness. We are religious people. So he brought us into Christianity. But he didn't bring us into Christianity to make us upright to God and Jesus. He brought us into Christianity to make us manageable. Keep your mind on another world, in another sphere, in another time, so you can never come to grips with this world, this sphere, and this time. When you going to get yours, brother? In the sleep. By and by. When you going to get yours, sister? When I die, and when I get to heaven, that's when I'm going to get mine. And whoever came back from death to tell you how sweet it was on the other side. And why is it that life wants to hold on to life? If it's better on the other side and we're catching so much hell on this side. Why don't we all hasten to get to the other side? I've seen men with both arms gone, both legs gone, going down the street doing this, you know, on a roller. They don't want to die. Whatever they got, let me hold on. Because life teaches you that you must make it here. Whatever you do, you must do it here. If you don't do it here, you can't do it there. This is where you must get it done. But as long as I can keep your mind revolving in space, in a heaven too high and a hell too low, I got you. Just look at this. Earth is round, supposed to be, oblong. The diameter of the earth is 7,926 miles. They tell us that heaven is up. But in an earth that is oblong, which way is up? The people here look this way, the people here look that way, the people here look this way, the people here look this way. And then, of course, the earth is turning on her axis and revolving. So what's up today is down tonight. Can you dig it? Child, if you mess up when you die, honey, you're going to hell. That's where you going. Mm-hmm. Where's hell? Oh, it's down in the center of the earth. Hotter than the sun, child. Now, if hell is in the center of the earth would be 1/2 the diameter, which would be the radius. Is that correct? So then that would be 3,863 miles down. You find hell. It got golden streets up there. But this white man has developed glasses ground so fine he can see the far planet Pluto, or Platoon as it is called in our way, 4,600,000,000 miles from the sun. He ain't seen heaven yet. So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us that heaven and hell are not two places, but two conditions of life. You can make a life a heaven for yourself, or you can make it a hell. That's your choice. But if you act according to the divine will of the Creator and come in harmony with the immutable laws under which the creation is created, then you can make a heaven for yourself. But when you deviate from divine law, when you deviate from natural law, you begin to set up consequences for your deviation that produces a hell for yourself. Is that right? All right, now here we live on the earth, in hell. Now you know this is hell. You wake up in the morning hungry, that's hell. Go to the refrigerator, nothing's there, that's hell. The baby's crying, there's no food, that's hell. You go outside and you see your brother shot down by a beast in blue uniform and he calls it justifiable. That's hell, brother. You come to school to learn an education to get out of hell, and the more they teach you, the more confused you get and stay in hell. That's hell, brother. When you go to church and you hear a preacher moaning and groaning about some other world, but you got to take care of him in this world and give him the good things in this life, that's hell, brother. You don't need to die and go to no hell. You're already dead and you're in hell. And now the time has come for you to be resurrected out of hell so you can ascend into heaven. What do you mean, brother? Oh, Let's give me a little time. "33 degrees under a beast. Got the mark of the beast where? In our forehead and in our hands. You don't think human, you think like a beast. In fact, you don't even think as well as beasts. Because the beasts understand it's a family of beasts. We don't understand that we are the same people. We are arguing over whether we're from the Caribbean, whether we're from Africa or in America. I don't know about these American people. Them don't understand a damn thing, you know. You're not wrong, my brother from home. We don't understand a lot. But what you understand, you've got to teach. Brother from Africa, brother from the United States, or brother from the far islands of the Pacific, we are one family. Why should we let a European who colonized us in the Caribbean and enslaved us in America, or colonized us in Africa, be the teacher to keep us divided, one against the other, hating one another, talking against one another, instead of finding the path of unity with one another? We think less than animals because you make the gun. We don't make no gun, white folks. And you bring them damn guns in the community and sell them to black people, and then kill us if we got one in our pocket. We don't have no ships bringing no dope into America. You running the ships, white folks, and you get the dope into our community, and you dust the reefer with PCP, and you know my brother don't think in the first place, and now you feeding him that dope knowing that he won't think in the second place. You know he's in hell and you want to put him deeper down in hell, huh? You make him hate himself so that he's a disrespecter of his female. He don't love his own woman. She suffered with us. She nurtured us with what strength she has. She's our teacher and our guide. From the cradle, she brought us up with no man around. But the moment we get some position, we run off and get us a white woman and leave our black woman alone. You're so happy now because they brought you to UCLA and giving you these white girls as a cheap price for your suffering. And you taking a black man, talking about, oh man, it's what I've been looking for, man. Black woman can't do a damn thing for me, but tell me which way the white woman went. I hear you, Sam. But you're a fool, Sam. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that the white woman is the white man's last trick. He even calls her a cute trick. Her desire is to trick you out of the time, so that when the time for the final push for your liberation comes, when the time for revolution comes, that the old world order is going out and the new world order is coming in, your revolution ends in the bed, revolving with a white woman who kills the revolution in your head, huh? He makes you think your black woman is ugly. He makes you think your black woman is nothing. So you will leave her, then he come and hit on her. He's hitting on your sister. He's patting on your sister. He's pinching on your sister because he know a real woman when he see one. The mark of the beast is in our forehead and in our hands. He teaches you sociology, but it isn't to make you able to bring up an upright society. All you can do is make another beast society just like his, because he's your teacher. He don't teach you law so you'll master law. He teaches you law so you will be under the control of his law, which is a law of beasts. He don't teach you religion to bring you up, right? He teach you religion so you go back and control the masses of your people to stop them from struggling against a beast world. You got psychology. What psychology does a beast have? Your music shows that you are under the mark of a beast. Get on down and get funky. Get on down and get funky. Come on, shake your booty. What the hell are you talking about? You become a beast. Don't you know a dog don't show his ass as much as you do? I know that's cold. Pardon that language. The most sensitive part in the dog is covered by a tail. Here he exposed your parts, and you love it. Walking around in these tight garments, tight pants, and then have a zipper up the back. What are you trying to tell the brother with your zipper? To unzip you? You allow these Parisian freaks to style our clothes when we should be styling our own clothes that would dignify us as a people. Sisters, what you see is what you get. If you want to show a man your bust, then that is what he's looking at. Show him your hips. That's what he's looking at. And what you got is a man that's fascinated by breast and hips and rear end. Time is going to get your breasts. Time may swell your hips out of proportion. Time may make your rear end flappy. And then that man that you attracted on that cheat principle is gone, looking for some firm bust again. That's a daggone shame. 33 degrees. But God, in his infinite wisdom, when he sees the people in this condition, out of his abundant mercy, he has always raised up somebody to guide the people who are under that kind of influence to stand upright before God. And in their uprightness, they can come out of hell and begin to create a heaven for themselves. Everybody all right? But in order to bring a people to uprightness, sometimes the man that God chooses has to give you a message that condemns some of the things that we do and some of the ways that we think. So at first, when a man from God appears, he's rejected by his own. His own hate his message. So the Quran teaches, O messenger, deliver that which has been revealed to thee from thy Lord. And if thou do it not, thou hast not delivered his message. And Allah will protect thee from men. Surely Allah guides not the disbelieving people. Whenever a message needs to be delivered, that message has to challenge the people to rise from their low condition, to recognize the value of themselves and strive for self-worth, self-dignity. But they've got to challenge the beast in them and the beast outside of them in order to rise to uprightness. So when such man appears, speaking that which the people do not like, God has to protect him from men, because when he speaks, those in power get angry. And when they get angry, their desire is kill that man. Why kill him? Because the truth that he speaks will free the people from my power to rule them unjustly. And if I kill him, I can stop the truth from getting to their ears. But the Honorable Elijah Muhammad has said to us that if a man really wants to see his people delivered, he must undergo sacrifice. He must understand that truth, in order to be established, demands the sacrifice of wealth, time, and life. And if he fears for his life, he won't deliver the message. But Allah says in the Quran, I will protect thee from men. Go on and deliver the message. As David the psalmist says, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I won't fear no evil, for thou art with me. To raise the black man up in America from this beast that has control of our lives means you got to challenge death and challenge your fear of death. There can be no liberation without the sacrifice of life. And if we want to hold on to our life, then we want to hold on to being a slave. But if we are willing to live our lives and then give our lives, Jesus said, those who seek to save their life will lose it. And those who are willing to give their life for my sake shall find eternal life. There's a principle there. Nat Turner understood that in order to free a people, he had to be willing to lay down his life. But he also had to be willing to take life. Oh, my Lord, no. We can't do that. Come on, sissy. Scripture says there's a time and a purpose for everything that is done under the heavens. There's a time to be born, and there's a time to die. There's a time to plant, and there's a time to pluck up what you plant. There's a time to gather stones, and there's a time to cast stones away. There is a time to love, and there's also a time to hate. There's a time to heal, but there's also a time to kill. And when those things happen at the same time, you got to love one and hate the other. Like Jesus said, no man can serve two masters. You've got to love one and hate the other, because the two masters are diametrically opposed to one another. If you want to live a beast life or if you want to live God's life, if you want to live a communal life of sharing or you want to live this individual life of exploitation of others, you cannot have two masters. You've got to have one or the other. Either you want a nation, you want to be free, or you want to be a slave. There is no in between. And those of you who have a stake in the status quo, because white folks give you a little bit of the system, I want to warn you. Jimmy Carter is sending out runners into all of the cities, calling for every skillful enchanter, as the Quran teaches, promising them wealth and nearness to him if they will oppose the rise of the people into solving the national question. Have you noticed your black leaders like never before trying to give the illusionary picture that America has changed? Have you noticed your leaders saying that we really have come a long ways? While our own black leaders have to admit that all of the gains made by Dr. King in the struggle in the 60s have been taken away and then some. So if you see the rise of the Ku Klux Klan, the rise of the Nazi Party, the rise of the fascists, America's moving toward the right, a movement away from a liberal tendency toward a more conservative spirit, the shooting down of blacks all over this country by the police. This is the beginning signs of the burning sands that we must cross in order to get where we want to go. That burning sand ritual that you have in your fraternities is also had in the lodge of the Masons and the Shriners. They cable tow and they talk about crossing the burning sands, because when Caucasians were in the Holy Land, they started making trouble among the righteous, telling lies. They accused the righteous, causing them to fight and kill one another, and their pattern has not changed. They will tell a lie on one brother and blame another brother and step into the background and watch brother kill brother. They make mischief all over the earth, as the Quran teaches. I am going to place a ruler in the earth. And it says, what will you place in it except that which will create mischief and cause the shedding of blood? But Allah said, I know what you know not. Here the ruler, Caucasian, has been placed in the earth. And he has created mischief and caused the shedding of blood all over the planet. But God knows what we know not. He knew the beginning and he knew the end of this. When that man was discovered as a hellraiser in the garden, he was cast out into the hills and cave sides of Europe. He was made to walk across the hot desert sands of Arabia, 2,200 miles into the cave sides of Europe. Listen good. And as he had to walk across those burning sands to get relief in the caves of Europe, he has made every social fraternal order relive his own experience of going across the burning sands, meaning he was beat every step of the way, and that's why they beat your butt with a paddle before you can get initiated into your fraternal order. It is a sign of their beating and being driven out of the Holy Land. And now, as we approach the 80s, it's like approaching the burning sands. We're going to have to go through fire to get through this world. Follow me now, brothers and sisters. The ceiling of gravity is said to be 6 miles high. Gravity is a force created by the rotation or revolution of the earth. As the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us, the earth being struck by the light from the sun, it causes her to turn. And as she turns at the speed of 1,037 and 1/3 miles per hour, she creates a force. Everything that is on the earth is inclined to the earth. That word gravity, oh, I'm telling you, I'm just writing all over this board. But I guess we'll put rest up here, and then we'll put grave or gravity. The grave is a hole dug 6 feet deep. Is that right? Come on. The Bible says, here's wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of a beast, for it is the number of a man 600, 60, which is 60, and 6. 3 6s, let's deal. It's the number of the beast, but it's also the number of a man. Oh, my brother and sister. What is the grave, and what will make me know what the grave is? As the grave is a place of confinement for the dead, a place of repose for the dead, where they are lowered into a narrow place, and the grave begins to decompose them so that they're unrecognizable, takes the flesh from the bones and then separates the bones from the bones. So is the force of the movement of the world of the Caucasian. It inclines us to the grave. His world is our grave. His world keeps us bound to his power. And his power is styled in the Bible as the power of death. Because in his power you have never seen your own spiritual life. You've never seen your own divine life. And this is why you have no respect for yourself, nor your brothers and sisters, because you see yourself as a nigger and as an inferior. And every time you look at your brother, looking at yourself, you're bound in the grave made by the turning of the white man's world. But as it takes a powerful rocket to get out of the force of gravity into space, and at the ceiling of gravity there is fire. Can you see it? When an astronaut goes up, it put a powerful rocket, right? Projecting him out. He's got to have a terrific force to get out of the pull of gravity into space. If he re-enters, he's got to have a heat shield, because the atmosphere of the earth is composed of fire. And when you hit the earth's atmosphere, any object, it starts burning. Is that right? All of that is a sign of something spiritual. You all still with me? You got so quiet, I thought I was in the cemetery for a minute. Everything all right? Okay, let's move on. My dear brothers and sisters, I'm almost finished. That coming out of the grave is actually saying, you remember how we used to sing in the church? This great getting up morning. You're going to look for me and I won't be there. I'll be gone, you know. And I'm going to get my wings. And I'm going to fly away. Fly away. Fly away. You know they're not going to be no wings fastened on you and you just going to get up and fly away. But what does it mean? Wings represent power. You see a bird gets up on the air. Air represents that spirit because you inspire when you inhale. You expire when there's no more breath in you. Is that right? So air represents inspiration. And if you fly on air, that means only when you are divinely inspired, divinely taught, divine truth will give you the wings to rise above the condition that you're in right now, where you can float on air or fly above the world. But this, you got to get out of this world. So that means you got to get out beyond the pull of the gravity of this world. So that means you have to go through fire to get out. And if you fall back into fire. Now, what does it mean? We got to cross the burning sands in the 80s. Everybody all right? Yes. Now we conclude this. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad was raised up from among us. What do you mean raised up? Look at this. If all of us were at a beast level and God raised a man up from among us, that means God stood him up and made him at right angles, meaning he's upright. And once he stands up, if we can get over to him and hold on to him, we can pull up. Many people say the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is not the real man of God. He's an imposter. He's a false man. But before I knew him, I was at that level. But when I met him, I found something because my legs were weak that I could hold on to and pull up by. And because he stood and I pulled up on him, I stood as a little one by him. But as long as I held on to him, I could stand. Isn't that something? Before I met Muhammad, I was a drinker. I was a smoker. I was a fornicator. I was a dope user. But I saw in him an example for my life, and I pulled up by him. I watched Malcolm pull up by him. I watched Muhammad Ali pull up on him. I watched his own son pull up on him. I watched the nation pull up on him. And since that man has departed from us, we have fallen back down to the level of the beast. Look at it, brother. Some of us went back to drugs, went back to whoring and pimping, went back to jiving. We say we pray better now. We pray right. We are more in tune with Orthodox Islam, but where is your uprightness? Where is your dedication and your commitment to the struggle for your people's liberation? Prophet Muhammad was not a man who tolerated tyranny, and the government of America is a tyrannical government. How can you say you believe in the Holy Quran and accept the American flag? The American flag is at cross purposes with the Holy Quran. For under the American flag, faggots can thrive. Lesbians can thrive. Usury can thrive. Every manner of evil can thrive. But this book condemns all of that. How in the hell can you hold the Holy Quran and an American flag and pledge allegiance to a government that hasn't given a damn for you or for me or for our children? In the grave. Verse number 600. You may not agree, but the white man is not a natural man on our planet. So happy to tell black people that they nothing, huh? You're so happy to tell black people that they're cursed black, huh?
That's what they say.
But I want to ask you, if we're cursed black, how come we're so natural in the light of the sun? If the sun is the source of life, light and energy, and we can take it and absorb it, and it does not do to us what it does to you, then how could you be natural in the light of sun that gives all life its energy, and there is no plant and there is no animal that flees from the light of that sun except a rat or a cockroach or some low-life creature, as a sign that when you flee from the light of God and from the light of truth, you are a low-life creature. Look at it. Oh, Caucasian, how did you get here? Since you study biology at UCLA and you study the Mendelian law, which tells you that two brown eyes are recessive. Blue eyes are recessive and brown eyes are dominant. Light skin is recessive and dark skin is dominant. And you cannot get the dominant from the recessive, but you can get the recessive from the dominant. I ask you then, who produced you? You students of anthropology, who is Dr. L.S.B. Leakey? And where did he go to study for the origin of man? He did not go to Europe. He did not go to China. He found himself in Africa. And his first discovery was a man he called Zinjanthropus. And he put his birth rate or birth date at 750,000 years. And he had a daddy. Zinj mean black. He went back and he found the bones of another man over 1.5 million years old. And he had a daddy too. And the son went back and the son found the bones of a highly developed humanoid, as he called it, a black man over 2 million years old. The Ancient of Days, been here so long that time has erased his beginning. The prophet Daniel said, I beheld till the thrones were cast down. And the Ancient of Days did sit. He had hair like lamb's wool and feet like brass burnt in an oven. He saw an ancient people coming back to power. All of you that have mocked the black man, have spit on the black man, have walked on the black man, have cursed the black man, I'm here to tell you what Moses told you. Honor your mother and your father, that your days may be long in the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. You're a grafted man and not a natural man. We know your beginning and we know your ending. And because you're an unnatural man, you have deviated from the natural course, and by nature you have introduced and produced a perverse and perverted world. Your whole world is one perversion after another. So we have decided that we must get out of your world, for your world has now come to an end. A time of perversity is over. And in order for the black man to get out of your world, he needs his wings. But who will give him his wings? The book says God raised one from the dead. What you mean raised one from the dead? I stood one of these mentally dead black people up at a living perpendicular, and I stood him on the square. And I made him to call others out of that dark dungeon of bestial behavior. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He warned us that America was number one on God's list to be destroyed. He warned us of the nature of white people, that they cannot help themselves the way they are because they didn't make themselves. But you have no right to follow them after the knowledge of them has come to you. He warned us that our time of servitude to white America is up, and we're going to have to go for ourselves because the white man is going to drop you and me. He warned you and me that God's judgment against America would take the form of rain, hail, snow, earthquakes, revolution, and bloodshed. He warned us that getting the people through the Red Sea was moving a people through the sea of blood and revolution and war. He warned us that if we didn't hasten, hurry, be quick, and do something for self, we would be forced to do it. He warned us that the dollar that we prided ourselves in, killed each other for, that we would see the day when the dollar bill would fall and rich men would light their cigars with $1,000 bills. He warned us that the white man would be driven out of Asia, his 7th and his 6th fleet destroyed. He warned us that the Arab world would upturn itself in revolution. He warned us that whatever you saw on the African continent, you would meet it over here. If they killed us over here, our people would kill them over there. And if our people killed them over there, they would kill us over here, because the time has arrived that America's judgment has come, and there is no plea bargaining with God. I warn you, black man and woman, the America that you know is now headed into her death. Her end has arrived, as she has delighted in killing you outside of the law of justice, and then with lying deceit, her murderous brethren justify her wanton murder of innocent people. Now God has come to put a whole nation to death, and it is justified. How is it justified? You say, I'm innocent. I didn't do nothing to you, black people. But you bear witness, you're the children of those who did evil to our fathers. If you are so good, then do better than your fathers. But you are proven to be just like your fathers. Look at the scriptures. God says in the Bible, I will bring the blood of the righteous from Abel to Zechariah to bear on this generation. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said to us that for every 1,000 years of white people's existence on our planet, they have killed 100 million members of the dark people. So for 6,000 years, they have killed 600 million. They went into the Congo and tried to kill man, woman, and child, murdering innocent men, women, and children throughout the continent. They delighted in dropping their deadly bombs on Ethiopia, and the Pope blessed the guns. As Haile Selassie was before the League of Nations, pleading for his people, they have murdered the Mayan Indians, the American Indians, the Aztec Indians, the people in Central and South America. The scholars say 100 million black lives were lost in the Middle Passage between Africa and America. And the soil of America cries out, soaked with the blood of my parents and your parents and my grandparents and your grandparents. I ask you, how can we today settle for some cheap affirmative action? How can we settle for the promise that one day there'll be a black president in a White House? How can we settle for being the mayor of a city of Los Angeles where you have a title but no damn power? How can you settle for this? Oh, America, your end has come. I don't care if I die in God's destruction of America. I want to see you get what you have delighted in pouring out on my brothers and sisters. The end have arrived. Spent your money sending your guns to Iran, your fine weaponry to Iran. You arranged a coup in Washington. Allen Dulles and Ike Eisenhower and one of the Roosevelt boys. And the CIA arranged for the overthrow of Premier Mohammad Mossadegh, the legal representative of the Iranian people, because he wanted to nationalize the oil in Iran that was owned jointly by American and British petroleum companies. Iranians were killed innocently to overthrow that government. And the Shah was brought back by the CIA and put on the throne. As thou hast done, so shall it be done unto thee. Now you looked up one day, and Ayatollah Khomeini roared out of France to sit on the throne in Iran. And now all your sophisticated weapons are in the hands of people whose desire is to lay you low. Why do they think this way about you, America? Because you're good? Hell no. You're evil as hell. Your presidents are thugs and murderers. From that high exalted Oval Office, they have plotted the murder of leaders of the people whom the people chose, who came up out of the people for the good and benefit of the people. Since they were not in harmony with your policy, you had them killed and overthrew their governments. This is why Kwame Nkrumah was overthrown. This is why Amilcar Cabral is dead. This is why Patrice Lumumba is dead. This is why the real legitimate leaders in Africa have been overthrown. But your day has now arrived. We're going into the 80s, and this is the last decade that we'll have to go through this madness anymore. Why do you say it's the last? Because America is now headed into that dreaded war. That war to end all wars. That war that the scripture calls Armageddon, where all of the armies of the world are gathered together for the doom to decide who will live on our planet. I know, America, you think you bad, but Allah, God, intends to show you that you are nothing. He gives a parable in the Quran. He said, those that you worship, if a flea takes from them a morsel of bread, they don't have the power to call the flea back. But you give them the power to direct your life. Now America, seeing that she has tried everything she knew to destroy our leadership, our organizations, and the fruit of our womb, developed a pill for black women, for Indian women, for Puerto Rican women, for Chicano women. What kind of pill is that? You call it birth control. You feed that pill to our poor women, knowing that they don't understand chemistry, and they don't want to have babies, but they want to have sex. Every time a woman gives herself away to a man freely, you are helping to perpetuate the myth that he can get something for nothing. Every time a woman lays down with a man because of a biological need, she's telling that man, you can have pleasure without pain. You can have pleasure without responsibility. And that's why we have a nation today of people that think we can get free without paying the price. Oh, black woman, my beautiful, precious sister, you're sacred. And you should let no man violate you just for sexual gratification. You don't need birth control. You need just a little bit more self-control. Now that some of you are using that pill jammer and every other chemical device that the white man gives to destroy the strength of your uterus, that even when you want to have a baby, you can't have it. Taking you into these butcher shops that they call hospitals for little simple operations, and when you come out, your insides are gone because they don't want you to produce little black babies no more because they know that the answer to all our prayers is coming from your womb. When a nation needs something and wants something, God provides that need through the womb of the woman. There's a child born someplace, somehow, somewhere, with the capacity to answer the critical need of that nation. And when we allow a people to kill the fruit of our womb, we are killing the answers to our prayers. We need military geniuses because we are about to enter the battlefield. And we're killing the fruit of our womb, and there is that genius. We need people to answer the need for the end of sickle cell anemia. But when you kill the fruit of the womb, you're killing the answer to that need. Oh, brother and sister, but God was overlooking the thing. So when the 20-year-old began to take the pill, here was a young girl budding at 10 years old. Here was a young girl budding, think of it, at 10 years old. Her breast full, her body ready. So she began to receive the germ of life. She didn't know nothing about birth control. So the teenagers from 10, 11, 12 began having babies. And now white folks put out a statistic saying the birth rate of blacks is now twice that of whites. Alarming. What does that mean to any demographer or student of political science? It means that if our birth rate continues to increase while theirs continues to decrease, they are going to end up with a larger middle age and old age population. And we're going to end up with more youth fighting age and working age. And since the white man's society cannot produce any more jobs for their own millions of unemployed, so they put in this jive ROTC program. You get the hell out of that right now. Tell white folks it's your turn, baby. It's your country. That's what you've been telling us. Going back to Africa, you said. Go on and defend her by yourself then. President was alarmed. He saw a minority army. And suppose that minority army, as he calls it, and I want you to stop calling yourself minority. They don't want you to call yourself black or Puerto Rican. They don't want you to focus on anything that can give you unity. They still want to sell you inferiority in another term, so they call you a minority. Since when has the black man been a minority on the planet, punk? We outnumber white folks 11-1. They are the minority. You got to stop thinking like you're the majority. For all your people all the way around the world, they are waiting for you to wake up, black man, because you are in the most advantageous position in the entire world. You grew up like Moses in Pharaoh's house, and you have learned all of his technology like Pharaoh did, like Moses did. But Moses needed a change of direction, and then he used all that he had learned of skilled arts and sciences from Pharaoh for the liberation of Israel. Well. There's no technology that white people have that black people have not mastered. Some of us. Some of us are the architects of that technology. Now what we need is a change of direction to bring that technology on home to us, to our brothers and sisters in the Caribbean, in Africa, and in the third world countries. We are their brother and they are our brother. This is it. Now I conclude. Brothers and sisters, the trumpet of truth is sounding. The grave must open and the dead must come up. This body at rest represents the black mass. It has stayed at rest or in the grave because the external force that acted upon it started moving it, and when the Caucasians saw our people beginning to move, they killed the force that could move the mass and get the mass up. But oh, look what has happened. You could kill the force without, but what if the body had a force within that was quickened? Then the body would move on its own. Force times distance equals work. And every one of our great leaders has moved the mass a little bit. The greatest of all of those of the past, the Honorable Marcus Garvey, moved the masses of black people like no other man moved them. Marcus Garvey set himself to the task, and Marcus Garvey took this body at rest and moved it to a distance. He did work, and the Quran says Allah will never waste the work of a worker. But the moment Garvey could be deported, his movement broke. Then we slipped back the distance that we had moved, nullifying his work, destroying the force. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad worked. He took us from calling ourselves Negro, and he made us think in terms of black. He popularized the term brother and sister. He produced from the teaching a brother that was in prison, whose life would have been lost, but he had a change of direction. Malcolm X. And when Malcolm came out of prison, he impacted on the masses of black America like no other voice in recent history. Under the guidance of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, with the force of that spirit, he moved the mass a distance. Huey Newton, H. Rap Brown, Stokely Carmichael, Imamu Baraka, Maulana Ron Karenga, all of these brothers worked, sisters worked to move us up. But have you noticed that when Martin Luther King was assassinated, when the Honorable Elijah Muhammad left the scene, when the integrationists began basking in the fruition of the public accommodations bill, they went to sleep. And white folks robbed a whole generation of the history of the struggle of the 60s. So that now young people are right in college. And the BSA says, come to a meeting. You say, I don't have time. There is no time in the grave. The grave doesn't measure time. No time, brother, means you dead. You're not on time. That's why you say you have no time. I got to hit the books. There's no books that white folks printed that's worthy of all your time. Not one book. If you don't have time for your liberation, you're dead. But you're a liar. That's your excuse. You do have time, but you don't want to make time. But you go to the disco, don't you? Oh, yes, you do. You're in there shaking your behind 3, 4, 5 hours. Ain't even tired. I watch you just move the sweat. And I mean dance until mum, arid, whatever menin stick, whatever deodorant you on leaves. You just dance till the funk comes out. But you got time to do that. You got time to party. You got time to get high. But you have no time to sit down and organize for your liberation. Let me close by saying that I'm not worried about you. You're going to be all right. I am not worried about you. You are definitely going to be all right. How are you going to be all right? You know why? White folks are going to help you to be all right. What you mean? I thought you said we got to do it ourselves. No, that's right, we got to do that ourselves. But to come into unity, we need help. We need white folks' help. They have to help us to get into unity. There ain't no word going to get you together. The book says you didn't hear the word. You needed winds blowing on those dry bones. So now white folks got the winds beginning to howl. Proposition 1, 13 minutes old. Job is 2. Cut back on affirmative action. Joblessness. Cut back on that welfare. Getting ready to get rid of this program that brings you into college and helps you out. Come on down on the niggas, shooting down in the streets. Your black brothers in Africa gonna start kicking behind real strong, real hard, because they're trying to kill Robert Mugabe in Zimbabwe. And if they kill Robert Mugabe in Zimbabwe, that damn peace plan that they signed in London ain't worth a damn. They're going to try to kill all the brothers and in those revolutionary camps. But all the revolutionaries didn't come home, baby. There's a lot more in the bush ready to get on down. Oh, when the brothers go to moving in Zimbabwe, and when the brothers go to moving in Azania, and when the brothers go to moving in Namibia, oh, brother, what are you going to see? When the Arab world is set on fire, when the Saudi royal family is overthrown, when Tom Sadat is overthrown, oh, yeah. That's happening right now as we talk. Revolution is in Saudi Arabia. White folks are scared to death. In Iran, there were 40,000 Americans before Khomeini got there. And after Khomeini came, them birds took wings. They had to leave in a hurry. And you know when you leave in a hurry, you got to leave your stuff behind. And when they got to America, poor things, they needed a gig. They hot, they angry because their business was left behind. Wait till Saudi Arabia explodes. And the Americans got to come running out of there. Coming out. Because the real Saudi Arabia, I ain't talking about the light one. The real Arab is jet black. And he's catching hell there. And the spirit of revolt is in him, brother. Oh, you're going to see a lot in the next few days. And as all these Tom leaders are overthrown, and America has it hard, like the Russians moved into Afghanistan, and the Americans had to come out. They was living lovely there. Where you think they're going when they have to leave Zimbabwe? The Bible says Babylon is fallen, is fallen. She's become the habitation of devils, the hole of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird. And you know when a bird gets uncomfortable, it flies away. But this is a hateful and an unclean bird. And an unclean bird is a vulture, a buzzard, a raven, an eagle. Yes. And what is the symbol of America? And when that hateful bird has to fly out of Zimbabwe and she lands in the United States, losing her ranch, losing her acres of fertile land, when those 537 corporations that America has in Zambia or South Africa are lost to the African people, and they got to get out and come back, and they see you here after your brother deprived them of the blessing there, then that hateful bird is going to make it hot for you here. Oh, swing low, sweet chariot, coming to carry me home. It was a band of angels coming after me, coming to carry me home. Where you going, brother? This is a deep river. My home is over Jordan. Steal away home. Ain't got long to stay here. You ain't got long to stay in this sick mind that you're in, because white folks gonna put it on you, brother. They don't care nothing about you being a Muslim. Any kind of Muslim is in trouble, because they know if you read this Quran, one day you're gonna wake up. This is a tough book. And they know if you got this book in your heart, you can't have them in your heart too long. Christian, I don't care how much Jesus you preach and pray. So sorry. You're born with your uniform on, and they don't care nothing about your collar turned backward. They're going to put it on your butt this trip. Oh yeah, the nationalists, we already understand what we got to go through. And don't talk Marxist-Leninists. Baby. When the war breaks out, you understand what they did to the Japanese brother. When the war broke out, they swooped down, baby, in the concentration camps. The jails are full. There ain't no more room. We got to go through the burning sands. Where you going to get on the other side? On the other side is joy. On the other side is liberation. On the other side is a new world order. But we got to go through this rough period. So the scripture says, gird up your loins and put on the whole armor of God. Because you can't go into this battle with just a pea shooter. You got to have your helmet on. You got to have your head together. Because if we overthrow this world's order, we can't bring the same world order in that we just left. So your mind got to be renewed. Because you're the white man in black skin. That's what he brought you here to make you. We got to have a revolution here so that we won't bring back the same world that is being destroyed. You can't think as an individual no more. Rugged individualism. That's all over with. We need each other. Oh, it's so sweet. You ain't going to be able to say, I'm a yellow nigga. You ain't going to be able to say, I'm pretty. Because white folk don't give a damn. Boy, if they see one drop of black blood in you, you ain't them. And they whooping heads and they coming for yours. Oh yeah, doctor, they gonna whoop your doctor butt. Ain't it sweet? You in the ivory towers, in these fine paying jobs. Oh, whitey's coming for your buns. Yes, he is. You gonna see that you and us is brothers. Oh, you gonna fly too. You coming home with your degrees and you gonna work for the community. Yes, you are, and you ain't gonna ask for no pay. You just want to come home, that's all. Yeah. It's all over. The best part is coming. Poor Muhammad Ali. Oh, the poor brother. What have they done to our brother? What has our brother done to himself? A man that stood up for a principle that earned him the respect of the world, now being used by Jimmy Carter. He's hugging Jimmy like Sammy hugged Nikki. Oh, bruh. He wants to be like Billy Graham now. Oh, bruh. How could he get like this? Sent the poor brother to Africa to get Africans to boycott the Olympics. The brothers over there, they don't give a damn about your greatness, man, when you violate the principle. When he went to Kenya of all places, you would think he would get the royal treatment. Not even in Kenya, brother. By the time he got to Tanzania, Nyerere wouldn't even come out and see him. Nyerere said, here I am a head of state and you send me a boxer? So they sent runners, fighters, jumpers, leapers out to meet him. Oh, brother. Here he come winging in on a State Department plane. I think they said it was Air Force One. I don't know how true that is. On one of the fleet. And the brother said, what is this? They accused him of being a traitor. And yeah, but he didn't see it. And then he turned and said, wait a minute, I ain't no Tom. He said, the president didn't brief me. Poor brother must think he's a big new Brzezinski, huh? White folks don't brief niggas, they send niggas. By the time brother got to Nigeria, the students were marching against him. Go home. Said when the African nations boycotted the Olympics because of the presence of South Africa, it was the United States government that said, we shouldn't make this a political thing. So you go back and tell JC, that we gonna run in Moscow, baby. Now, you know, if the president can't get folks to stop running, he ain't gonna get no folks to stop gunning. Oh, America's day has come. Now, I ask you, if there should be a call to arms, how many of you are going to join the service? May I see your hands, please? The service of white folks. I want to say this, brothers and sisters. Here's what I'd like you to tell the government. And if you can't tell them, just take my number and call me. I'd be so happy if you'd let me talk to Pharaoh for you. You know what I tell Pharaoh? I'd say, Mr. Carter, sir, I said, black people fought. No. Brothers, don't give those things out while I'm talking. That's disrespectful. You're so anxious to do your job, not willing to let me complete mine. And nothing more important than the brothers and sisters hearing the conclusion of this lecture. Thank you. The brothers want you to know that we have a lot of tapes, tape lectures, and if you'd like to order the tapes, they show you where you can order the tapes. But if you stand at the door as the people go out, they'll take one, I'm sure. We fought in the Revolutionary War. Crispus Attucks was the first to die. For your people's freedom, Mr. Carter, not ours. We fought in the War of 1812, but we were still slaves. For your ideals, Mr. Carter, not ours. We fought in the war between the North and the South. We didn't have a union to unite, Mr. Carter. We fought for the union of your country, and we are still divided against ourselves. We fought in the Spanish-American War to help you take property from Spanish-speaking people, and you never even offered us a taco. You remember when the Kaiser arose in Germany? Our grandfathers went to war in the First World War, and you told us that if we fought when we came home, things would be better for us. But after you used us as a tool, you knew that a tool has no place in your living room, so you put the tool back in the tool chest and put the tool chest in the garage until you needed the tool again. And so Hitler arose in Germany, and you told us that we should go and fight for America because it would be better to live under America's democracy than to live under Nazi rule. So we went and we left our bodies in England, in France, in Italy, in Sicily, in North Africa. And after we helped you to defeat Germany, and the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor, and we left our body in the Solomon Islands, in Bataan, in Corregidor, and Guadalcanal, We left our body in Manila in the Philippines, in Iwo Jima, in Burma, in Australia, in New Guinea, in New Zealand. And after we helped you to defeat Japan, we came home. And you said, all right, nigga, back in the tool chest, back in the garage. Now the Japanese, we're looking at their TVs. We're using their irons and their electrical appliances. We're sleeping in their hotels that they own. And they are now your friends and your allies. And the Germans are respected in your country. But we who helped to give you that supremacy, we're not as good as the Japanese nor the German. We are your niggers, and we're shot down in the streets in cold blood. And then the Korean police action broke out. And you know how it is when police action breaks out. You came and drafted us. I was a young high school boy then, Mr. Carter. Some of my brothers who didn't have a lot of ambition, who knew there wouldn't be any place for them in the job market, joined the service. And you sent them right away to Korea because you didn't want your good, intelligent white boys to die in that kind of war. So we were on your front lines, Mr. Carter. And so they sent the brothers home in little boxes. And then the police action was over. And the veteran of the Korean War got no justice. He fought, he bled, he died, he got no justice, got no job. And then Vietnam broke out. And you lied. Your government lied, Mr. Carter. Under the phony Tonkin Gulf Resolution, you sent thousands of Americans into Vietnam. 40% of the casualties in Vietnam were black. And we are only, as you say, 10% of your population. We came back home, Mr. Carter, in boxes. And those that lived came home junkies. Taught to kill, but no job. Sick, hurt, nobody cares. Put the tool in the tool chest and put the tool chest back in the garage until we need that tool again. And now you're in trouble again, white folks. I'll tell you the story of Tonto and Kemosabe. Came a time when all the Indians had surrounded Kemosabe and Tonto. And Kemosabe said to Tonto, we in trouble. And Tonto looked at the Indians and looked at Kemosabe and said, you in trouble, baby. I want to tell you, white folks, you in trouble. Because these black bodies, they should not go to fight and die in your war over there. Our war is here with these crackers that deny us the justice that we're due. So if there's going to be a rumble, then damn it, let's put blood in the streets then. And I want to warn you, Jimmy Carter, you can't fight a war on the outside and revolution on the inside at the same time. So either we get justice or we don't do nothing. Either we get land or we don't have nothing to fight for. You go fight for your land because we ain't got none to fight for yet. Come on, Indian. Come on, Chicano. Come on, Puerto Rican. Come on, black brother in America. Come on, Caribbean. Come on, Africa. Come on, third world. This is our day. Let us lock hands in the struggle of the 80s and march on till victory is won. When will victory be won? When every imperialist power and every colonialist power and every slave-making power and every rich power that has no respect for the poor and the downtrodden and the oppressed is removed from power or from the face of the earth. Then and only then will justice flow down the mountain like rivers. And then and only then will we be able to say with one voice, Free at last, free at last. We fought, we bled, we died. That's why we're free at last. Thank you for listening, and may Allah bless you as I greet you in peace. Assalamu alaikum. What time is it? Got any water? Thank you. Brothers and sisters, thank you so very, very much. May I say this to you, please? We have a newspaper called The Final Call. If you'd like to purchase it on your way out, it's there. You will help us to rebuild the work of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. On sale, if you'd like the tape of today's program, today's lecture, they are reproducing the tape right now. You just have to be a little patient, and they will give you that tape, not give it to you, for a small cost. They have a reception plan for me somewhere, and so what we'll do, all of those who would like to come to the reception and like to ask questions, we'll do it at the reception. All right? May Allah bless you. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.